Hello everyone, welcome back to another Batman Miniature Game 3rd Edition Battle Report. Today for you we have a 350 rep match between the new and improved Birds of Prey, who have additional characters available in their roster now on the app, up against the Soldiers of Fortune, featuring the new, large, very scary Bane Unleashed, which we'll take a look at in a second. Playing on the table you can see before you, and with that let's go into the details of the two crews. So here are our Birds of Prey, and as stated, the app has been updated with 4, I believe, new characters now possible to be taken in Birds of Prey lists, 2 of which are included today. The 3rd edition Poison Ivy is the leader though. She's brought along Frank, who has, I've forgotten the name of the upgrade offhand, but anyone who's in his attack radius is suffering from impaired movement, and he also has Corrosive Blood. Then we have Mutated Plants 1 and 2. Mutated Plant 2, which is the ranged one there, has extra ammo and corrosive blood. Oracle is providing off-site support with her intel support role, and then we have the 2 new characters that can be added to Birds of Prey. We have Strix and we have Lady Shiva. Strix is kitted out with all the upgrades because this list uses very little funding. Corrosive Blood, adaptable training to give her adaptable. She's got a radio, she's got a grapple gun. Corrosive Blood, did I say that? She's probably got other stuff I'm forgetting. And we have Lady Shiva as the sidekick, and she's just here to beat people up. So, along with them, Hawk and Dove can now be in Birds of Prey. I don't think I'm forgetting to mention anyone else. But yeah, it does give them more options, which is good. Maybe make some of their less viable cards more viable now. We'll certainly see as we play on. And here is the Soldiers of Fortune being led by Bane Unleashed, aka Nightfall Bane, just carrying Batman around the table at any moment, threatening to break his back. So he is joined by Militia Soldier 1, just because he's super cheap other than the funding. The Infiltrate Op, because she's fantastic. Barsad from the Dark Knight Rises starter set. Stealth Op, who has a grapple gun. Actually no, I don't think he has a grapple gun. He's got a couple of upgrades, I've forgotten offhand what they are. If they come into play we'll mention them. And then also Psycho Pirate for that kind of City of Bane reference. Bane Unleashed, he has 4 Venom doses, so even if it's forgotten to be stated, he will be using one every turn. He can go with the normal stuff you get from a Venom dose. Oh, he has a Venom dose. That's one of the things he has for sure. He can get the invulnerability thanks to having that role that the other big Bane has, but he can also choose a couple of different things when he uses Venom, including turning all the damage he does into blood damage, which is very, very scary. He can also use a special action to make no efforts from either side be used at all, which is also really good if you want to do blood damage. And he has a rule called Like Flies to Me, where even though he's defense 2, which is pretty bad, he counts his defense as being whatever the person attacking him has for an attack stat. So most henchmen are like 3 or 4, so he would count his defense 3 or defense 4 in those situations. So he's got his own little kind of form of defense, even though he is defense 2. He's very scary if he gets in there. He doesn't care really, he just wants to go in and smash and murder and kill. He has invulnerability 2 on his Venom doses regardless to keep him safe. And he's just going to go and break everyone. So we are all set up and good to go. The Soldiers of Fortune are to your right and are taking first activation, and I don't think they have any passes either. The Birds of Prey are on your left, and we do have some pre-game stuff to cover real quick, although there is no objective cards, Phase 1 or Phase 2, being played by either side. Because there's 3 plants in the Birds of Prey list, they get 3 free suspect markers to be placed down. 1 has been placed there, 1 just outside of the 2-inch safe zone from deployment, and another one there actually that might need to be moved a little bit because it might be within 4, just to make sure it's not. And, oh, the other bit of gear that Stealth Op has, and he is deployed right here because he has undercover, so he can be out of 8 from the deployment, was a backpack. So he's got a Venom dose and backpack. Infiltrate Op has hidden, but she's opted not to go too far out of the Soldiers of Fortune deployment behind the Batmobile here. She has Audacity, so does Stealth Op, so does Bane, and so does Psycho Pirate. We haven't really talked about Psycho Pirate, and he's new to the table. We'll cover it when he activates, because that's when his special thing kicks in, let's just say. None of the plants are on the table, they don't have any Audacity. The 4 ladies who are on the table do, and do remember, again, this is an intel support character, so Oracle isn't actually on the table on her wheelchair. This is just showing where her current influence on the table is, so she's not in any danger of being shot. She loses health when enemies remove suspect markers. With that, we are ready to jump into Battle Round 1 and get this started. So it was Infiltrate Op who got the game started for both sides. First of all, she made use of her special action with Audacity to do hacking, and she moved the suspect marker that had been placed by that barrel there right up next to her. She came around the corner with a move action and then revealed it with her tactical action. She hasn't got much to fear because there's no guns on the other side. She's got Master of Stealth anyway, and she felt pretty comfortable doing that. And in doing so also put into play on her turn a global offensive. Doesn't score till the end of the round, but have more friendly models with the veteran trait in play than there are enemy suspect markers. With the exception of Psycho Pirate, I believe everyone on the Soldiers of Fortune team is a veteran, so that's 5. So they already currently meet that, but the card doesn't score till the end of the round. And the Birds of Prey, as a result of that action from Infiltrate Op, can use their special feature where they put a card face up on the table, and the easier scoring condition comes into play. An enemy model revealed a friendly suspect marker, just did. So now this card becomes a friendly model reveals an enemy suspect marker, and there are more friendly suspects than enemy suspects in play. You only have one card face up at a time, but now this Tough Girls one is just that. Oracle activated first for the Birds of Prey, however, forgot to mention with Infiltrate Op revealing a suspect marker, she has taken 1 blood damage of her 4. She can be brought back by giving up Audacity or Unaudacity for the turn, but not a great start for her. But either way, she activated, her influence moved up the table to where you can see it here, and she placed down a suspect marker, although not before, at the beginning of her activation, playing I Work Best Alone, which we've seen before. Every time the chosen model puts a suspect marker down, put a number on this card, roll at the end of a turn. If it matches, you score. She's going to put a 1 on it, just because, so that will stay in play for as long as Oracle stays in play, and she can keep coming back, so presumably the card will just stay in play indefinitely. The Militia Soldier activated next, did not have Audacity, but started next to the big man himself, for that free Inspire Manipulate, which he used after moving right behind the chunky Batmobile there. He put down a suspect marker that is outside of the 2 deployment zone line, which is roughly where Barsad is up in that building. And in doing so, both are within 8 inches of Oracle, and presumably, even though she's intel support, this counts. A Black Op has scored. Friendly model places a suspect within 8 inches of an enemy model that cannot draw line of sight to the suspect marker or the model for 2. So that's them on the scoreboard. Strix activated next for the Birds of Prey. I forgot to mention both Strix and Poison Ivy have adaptable. Strix only has it because of an upgrade bot. Poison Ivy has it as normal. Unless otherwise stated, presume that they have taken defense for the turn. They're doing that so they're going to be harder to get shot, because defense 4 and 5 is a lot better than 3 and 4. Anyway, Strix activated her grapple gun that was also bought from funding to give her that extra bit of move. She came all the way over here, and instead of attacking, because she could easily have attacked, she instead opted to play the objectives, put down a suspect marker, and met the criteria for in position pretty easily. A friendly model places a suspect marker within 4 inches of an enemy model, and there's at least 4 in play. That was exactly 4, because there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Psycho Pirate activated, so it's time to talk about how his mechanics work. First of all, though, he moved forwards and he had Audacity. He put down a suspect marker, didn't do anything else with his turn this turn. But when you activate him in a given turn, he has a rule called Emotional Control. You pick from one of 4 options, and he does that to enemy models within 8 inches as kind of like an always-on aura. So for this turn, Fear was selected. So enemies within 8 inches of him roll -1 to their attack and defense rolls, which is pretty potent. Creates a nice little bubble of danger as well, because Shiva and Strix obviously want to get in there and cause some trouble, but if they're rolling -1s to their rolls, that's pretty bad. So of the 2 left to go for Birds of Prey that you can see before you, Poison Ivy was the one which activated. She moved up a little bit, not too much, and removed her own suspect marker to transform it into valuable commodities, aka loot. So early play from this, but I guess it's good to get out of the hand early. She's now going to be holding on to the loot for the rest of the game, on the assumption that she stays alive. Didn't do anything else with her turn though. So next up for the Soldiers of Fortune, of the 2 left to go was Barsad. However, just a quick correction from earlier on Strix's turn. She did not use her grapple gun. I don't know why I said she did. She has 11 inches. That is 11 inches from line to there. Even if she had to be backed up ever so slightly, it's still clearly within 4 inches of Infiltrate Op. She didn't use it. Don't know why I said it. I think it's because the original plan was to send her on the far side here, or to aim for Barsad, although she wouldn't have reached him, but to get right in Infiltrate Op's face to try and take her out until there was a scoring opportunity presented. But yeah, she didn't use her grapple gun, she just ran forwards. She's very fast. Anyway, Barsad, speaking of which, he stayed up there, and part of what makes Barsad so scary, besides his gun being triple blood, is that it has no minimum range, and rate of fire 3, I believe. So he shot at Poison Ivy out of, or into the night, because she's more than 12 inches away, so he loses 2 dice for that. She's behind cover, loses 1 die for that. She used adaptable, so her defense is currently 4 instead of 3. 50-50 chance to do 3 blood. Nothing else for him to do, stop up there in that building. Why not? And there's why not. He did it and got a 4. So Poison Ivy has taken 3 blood of her 7 health. Yeah, she's got pretty low health. She is very susceptible to gunfire, which is not good. So last activation of the Battle Round 1 for the Birds of Prey was Lady Shiva. There's actually still 2 activations for Soldiers of Fortune. Forgot about Stealth Op. He's clearly too stealthy. So Lady Shiva suffered impaired movement to jump over the car here. Hop on over. She is touching that sewer grating there and has put down a suspect marker. And doing nothing else for her turn. They're also not summoning any of their plants because of reasons. So with that, Bane and Stealth Op get to do what they like to end off the round. Bane Unleashed activated of those 2 and he charged forwards. Doesn't have a care in the world, just wants to go smash things. 10 inches running forwards. Couldn't reach anyone of interest, so he did put down a suspect marker this turn, but he's obviously gunning for people. He's got 14 health, he's got attack 6, strength 2+ when he's on Venom, which he is every turn. He's probably, actually his basic attacks also have Handy and Bleed 2 on crits. He's probably the strongest close combat character to exist in the game now. He is terrifying as a result. Stealth Op activated, hopped over the wall that he was next to, right there with Psycho Pirate. Walked to where you can see him between the trees. He is illuminated, but again, Birds of Prey have no guns. So he revealed the enemy suspect marker there. In doing so, that deals 1 damage to Oracle, and he has ruined some of their plans by doing that, and that does take us to the scoring for Battle Round 1. So at the end of Battle Round 1, nobody took any stun damage, so there's no healing that, and there's also no additional Phase 4 cards being played. However, we do have some maintenance to cover. Scheming, we're just going to cover that now because we're moving into a new round. Oracle has Scheming 3, and as a result she's moved 3 markers within 8 up to 4 inches, ignoring the rules for normal distance between suspect markers. She moved the one that Shiva put down that way, the one that Strix put down that way, and the one on the opposite side of the Batmobile, the militiaman moved, put it on that side there as well. We do also need to check if I Work Best Alone scores for Oracle. It does not, needed a 1, stays in play though. And the only other card in play that matters for this round, because Valuable Commodities scores at the end of the game, is Global Offensive, and it is going to score. There's currently 1, 2, 3 Birds of Prey assessment markers. There's at least 3 with Veteran. I'm pretty sure there's 5, so that has scored for 3. And with that, we're going into Battle Round 2. Top of Battle Round 2, and the Birds of Prey are taking first activation this turn. We do have some cards to cover, although real quick. Basically everyone except Malicious, Soldier 1 and Barsad have Audacity on the table. Yep, I think that's true. And yeah, 1 phase 1 card played by each side. Got a classic, Die Hard, played by the Soldiers of Fortune, and that is being played on Psycho Pirate. Oh, as a tree almost gets knocked over. Being played on Psycho Pirate because even if someone does get over to him, they'd be surrounding themselves with pure pain. So is that worth stopping 2 victory points? Might be, who knows. The phase 1 card being played by the Birds of Prey is Airy 2, which we don't see very often. So your opponent places an event marker in contact with the tallest scenery element, and then you have to have more friendly models than enemy models who aren't knocked out, on or within 4 of the event marker. The tallest scenery element, unfortunately for the Birds of Prey, is right up there in the corner, and that's the event marker right there that they've got to get to. On the plus side, if they do get to it, it's unlikely the Soldiers of Fortune will get anyone over there, but it is awfully out of the way. But it is like a good 1.5 inches taller than everything else on the table, so they have to deal with that. And with that, let's jump into Battle Round 2 and see how things shake out. So Strix activated for the Birds of Prey, and this time she really did use her grapple gun in order to go after Barsad, because his gun is too scary to be left alone. He efforted 3 times against her double blood overwhelming heavy sharp, or definitely sharp, katana. She efforted 3 times because he needed to die, and 3 hits did get through for 6 blood, so Barsad has indeed been extinguished. His gun is no longer a threat. Didn't score any cards on that specifically during her turn, just to get out of hand really. I Work Best Alone, the other one in the deck, was played on Strix, even though putting down suspect markers isn't really her thing, but she's got a radio, so she might do it at some point. So it's on her, and the other thing to mention is, during her turn, the friendly suspect marker in the middle of the table there has been replaced with Frank. So Bane Unleashed activated first for the Soldiers of Fortune in Battle Round 2. Not hiding anything, he was going to go for Lady Shiva and would probably have just beaten her into a pulp. But he couldn't ignore Frank, because Frank only needs to get 1 hit through to remove him from the table with slow digestion for a little while. and that can't be done. So Bane decided to go after Frank instead to remove that threat. And he used the grudge match, so neither of them could effort, and then he was just rolling his 6 dice with his 2 free efforts from the Venom, his strength 2+. Long story short, he did 14 stun. So with the way plants work, if they would be knocked out, they act as if they're a casualty, so they are removed. He can come back, same way as he went in the first place. Oh, and in doing so, didn't have the card ready, but it does score for, if nothing else, a dirty job for 1 point. Poison Ivy activated next for the Birds of Prey and tried for a big play. She moved out from cover, now that Barsad's gone, and tried to mind control using her pheromones to get Bane under her control for a couple of actions. Risky play, he's not low willpower, he's willpower 9. He passed, so it did not work on him sadly. So then instead she just fired Poisonous Spores forwards, which is an explosive template, so it caught the Infiltrate up as well. Bane, despite being defense 5 against it technically, because Poison Ivy's strength 5+, took hits from both hits, the normal die and the strength die, for 2 blood and 1 poison, and Infiltrate Up took 1 blood and 1 poison. Now, did totally forget that her basic plants that she's got on her base, they give her protective, so she should have had +1 to her defense rolls. I don't think it mattered. Oh no, it wouldn't have mattered because she doesn't get defense rolls against the gunshot. So yeah, it didn't matter actually, never mind. So either way, the last thing she did was replace the suspect marker that was there with another one of her plants. That is mutated plant number 2. Getting a bit messy in the middle, but Stealth Op activated and rushed the plant that spawned. Got into base to base with him, and they both efforted 3 times. He's doing double blood with his handy sharp katana. And all said and done, he doesn't, I mean, I feel like Stealth Op's stats aren't as good as you would hope they would be. He's only attack 3 for instance. But either way, 2 hits got through for a total of 4 blood. Not enough to take out the mutated plant. That one's got 5 endurance, so he's alive on 1. Now, I did forget to mention when Frank died, he also has the corrosive blood upgrade. But Bane has 14 endurance, he was totally fine. If this plant gets killed as well, he's also got corrosive blood, so anyone in base contact will have to do an endurance roll or risk taking 1 damage. During Stealth Op's turn, not related to what he actually did, another global offensive was put in play. Lady Shiva activated and went after Infiltrate Op, who's normally a tough nut to crack because Infiltrate Op is defense 5. But Lady Shiva is a Master Fighter for +1, so that ostensibly makes it 4. And she efforted once, and she is doing double stun. Now you might notice there's blood damage there, we'll get to that in a second. She also has combo on her unarmed, so she actually ended up doing 6 attacks through, 2 of which Infiltrate Op blocked, which again we'll get to in a moment. But afterwards, as a resource, Master's Jewel was played, which is Lady Shiva's objective card, but played as a resource. I think that's in focus, apologies if it's not. When resolving an attack performed by a model with the alias Lady Shiva, so it's when resolving, so presumably that means now, rather than when initiating, before you decide whether or not you effort, you change all stun markers inflicted to blood markers. So instead of just beating up Infiltrate Op, Lady Shiva snapped her neck, and she is out of there. Not doing anything scoring wise, and in fact had the opposite effect, because if we just come over here real quick, because Infiltrate Op successfully blocked 2 hits and Bane is right there, she scored Hardpoint, which will be in focus momentarily. There we go. A friendly model within 8 inches of another friendly model with Veteran blocks at least 2 successful hits. Bane's within 8, the Militia guy's within 8, they both have Veteran. So yeah, all Lady Shiva did in doing that was make Soldiers of Fortune get further ahead points wise, but did remove an annoying threat. Psycho Pirate activated for the Soldiers of Fortune, definitely should activate him earlier in our turn as well. This turn he is generating anger in an 8-inch bubble around him, so enemy models take 1 extra damage from all sources, essentially, just to do the shorthand version of the long text. He moved up, he put down a suspect marker, which is within 4 of Oracle and also within 4 of the barricade there, which meets the conditions for putting Invasion into play, which will be in focus in a second. There we go. Place a friendly when a friendly model places a suspect marker within 4 inches of a scenery element that's within 4 inches of an enemy model, roll 1d6. Place a number counter equal to that value on the suspect marker, reduce it by 1 at the end of each subsequent model's activation, and if it still exists when it hits 0, score the card for 2. Simple as that. Oracle activated and decided instead of going after that suspect marker, because it would have been an easy remove, moved over here, put down a suspect marker of her own to put another number on her I Work Best Alone. There's a 2 on there now as well. The suspect marker that was over here to Bane's left has been replaced by the other mutated plant. Can't make it Frank because it has to be a subsequent round to bring back a plant that's been taken out already. And with that, she's done everything, didn't need to hack anything, and it's just down to those 2 plants for Birds of Prey. Although the Militia Soldier without Audacity, and that's it. The Soldiers of Fortune are thin in numbers, although they're way ahead in points. So last activation of the round for Soldiers of Fortune was the Militia Soldier without Audacity again. Close enough to Bane though, that he still hadn't Inspire. He moved his 8 inches over here and put down the suspect marker. Yes, he's next to Lady Shiva, but back where he was, Strix was right above him, so he was between a rock and a hard place. So he just put down the suspect marker. Also noticed a mistake from earlier when Bane was poisoned by Poison Ivy. Yes, he is still poisoned, but the 2 blood damage he would have taken would have been eaten up by his invulnerability, so that is gone. So it was the 2 plants left on the board to take us to the end of the round, so we can just quickly cover both their activations together. The ranged one is sadly in base to base and doesn't have light on his range attack, so couldn't do anything. He did a manipulate instead. They have a 4-inch action bubble, so he put one down there. The other one attacked Bane, and this time his invulnerability can't save him because it's been used up already. Managed to get 1 hit through on him, and that also made his poison worse, so he's got poison too. With both their activations concluding though, that makes Invasion tick down to 0 and score. And with that we'll go to the scoring for the rest of the cards in play. At the end of Battle Round 2, Lady Shiva, Stealth Op and one of the plants, the ranged one, they have all healed 1 stun. There's no additional cards being played, so we just need to look at the ones already in play. Die Hard scores. Psycho Pirate was unhindered for the entire turn. And Global Offensive, more friendly models with Veteran than there are enemy suspect markers. They are losing people now, but there's only 2 suspect markers. So Bane's got it, the Militia Soldier has it, Stealth Op has it, so that has also scored. Now the Birds of Prey have a lot of cards in play, but many of them can't do anything. First of all, we'll see, does Oracle score on a 1 or a 2? Oh, she does, actually. So that's on the bright side, because the Birds of Prey are not having a good game objective-wise. So that has scored for 2. The other one is still in play on Strix. Airy 2 is discarded, it does not score. The Loot stays in play on Poison Ivy, and the Tough Girls card is still the face-up one, although they can replace it with another if another criteria is met that seems preferable. With that, on to Battle Round 3. Top of Battle Round 3, the penultimate round, and the Soldiers of Fortune, what few of them are remaining, are the ones taking first activation at this turn. So of the there's 6 of them to start with, there's 4 left, so they all have Audacity. For the Birds of Prey, the plants don't have Audacity, but everyone else does. There is no additional cards being put into play. There's the ones for Birds of Prey that are already in play, but that is it. So with that, let's jump in. So again, we're staying in the messy middle here, but the first activation for Soldiers of Fortune was Stealth Op. You might be wondering, why not Bane? Why not use Unleashed Bane with his ridiculous powers to go just smush Poison Ivy into a mess on the floor? She is Protect Me, and there's 2 plants within 4 inches that can protect her, so there is no point because she'll just pass off the wounds to them. They need to be removed. So Stealth Op set about that by attacking again the ranged plant he was in base to base with. 3 hits through, 6 blood, the plant is removed. In doing so, he also helped the cause a little bit by scoring a quick and cheap and dirty job for 1 victory point for making a blurry model a casualty. Any second now. You know, we know what this says at this point. There we go. And then, because he was within Bane's Inspire radius, he moved and used the free Inspire to put down a suspect marker. Oh, almost forgot again, but that mutated plant is one of the ones in the team that have the Corrosive Blood upgrade, and Stealth Op failed his endurance roll, so he has taken 1 blood damage from that. Oh, and just one more addition, the face-up card for the Birds of Prey is going to change to Pretty Birds, because an enemy model inflicts at least 5 damage to a friendly one in a single attack. Stealth Op did 6. So now this is going to replace the one that was in play, and will score if any enemy that couldn't see an enemy model takes damage. And so it's much easier to score than the top one, where 2 individual models have to take damage from a model they couldn't see. Poison Ivy activated for the Birds of Prey. You'll notice she's not there anymore. We'll cover where she ended up in a second. Also during her activation, this suspect marker was turned into Frank, so Frank is back. She is a scientific model, so she can do 2 special actions. Her first one, she once again tried to use Control Pheromones on Bane just to get that turn with him. Didn't work. passed his roll, willpower roll again. So then she used green web. You target a model with the plant rule within range and make it do an attack. So she targeted that one, it attacked him, did hit him for 2 damage, but it's absorbed by his venom this turn, and it also made his poison worse. So he's up to poison 3. I think it starts doing double damage at poison 4, but he passed his roll at the end of the last turn incidentally. So then she moved next to the sewer grating there, and has teleported all the way across the table, right over there, to try and safely hold on to that loot for the 3 points. Bane activated, and I guess he is moonlighting as a gardener, because once again he moved into base to base with Frank to stop him getting a turn, pummeled him to mush. Didn't do as well that time, well only did 6 stun, but that is still enough because Frank isn't upgraded, because that upgrade costs too much. So he is gone again, and in doing so, Bane did also score for his team. Another dirty job. I think this is the last one maybe. Either way, 1 more victory point for the pile. Using Acrobat, Strix jumped down from the building there, didn't suffer fall damage, and moved behind Oracle, or the symbol where Oracle is anyway. Then chucked throwing knives. She chucked 2 of them at Bane and 1 at Psycho Pirate. They all managed to find their mark, so 2 blood, 1 blood respectively. And then from the hand, Pretty Birds is scoring with the above criteria. Presumably you are allowed to choose that over the one on the table. You can't score both because you can't score the same card at the same time. If they have the same name, that is. So 2 enemy models suffer damage from the same attack action by a friendly model that neither could draw line of sight to at the beginning of her activation. She has stealth, so they couldn't see her. And as a result, this has scored for 2. Second last activation for Bane's crew in the penultimate round was a malicious soldier who's counting his blessings that Lady Shiva hasn't beaten him to a pulp yet. He activated, he moved behind these barrels. He has put down a suspect marker. It is just outside of 4 of that one. And as a result of him not being seen, or the suspect marker being seen and the plant being right there, he has scored a second. Yeah, there's only 2. The second of 2 Black Ops for 2 victory points. Well, the blessings were but fleeting. Lady Shiva activated and went after the malicious soldier. Oh, she did effort once, which has not been left there on the table, but she did effort once. He didn't. He's only got 4 willpower, and she's hitting double stun. She's really good in hand-to-hand combat. She did 8 damage. He is very knocked out. Lady Shiva does have a rule, though, where she will not attack anyone who's knocked out. It's probably not going to matter, but just making it known. And she scored for a quick 1 point. They must know Pain for doing at least 6 damage with a close combat attack. Psycho Pirate activated and moved 8 inches behind Strix and Oracle. Put down a suspect marker that is just outside 2. Actually, it might need to be moved ever so slightly, or he might need to be moved. Measure it up correctly in a second. That's also the 8th suspect marker for the Soldiers of Fortune, so they've got all of them down. And, forgot to roll the dice for it live, or we're going to have to do it live, but Invasion has been played on that placement. So the number going on it, that was off camera. Let's see, we'll roll it here. It was a 4 for the record. It's even better for them now. It is a 3. So we need a bird's eye view of the mess in the middle of the table for this one. There was 2 activations left for the Birds of Prey in Battle Round 3, and we're just going to cover them both now. Oracle and the Mutated Plant 1. Mutated Plant 1, put down a suspect marker. Again, plants have a 4-inch radius for interacting, and they can do manipulates. So they put down a marker right there. Oracle moved in, put down a marker of her own, and then also made use of hacking to move the one that Psycho Pirates put down. It's ticked down to 1 but hasn't scored yet. It will score in the final round. And she moved the one that was over here, I believe. I think that was the other one she opted to move. She can also move somewhere with scheming at the end of the round if need be. But for things as they stand at the end of her turn and the end of the battle round entirely, she actually does score Regrowth, which is a hard one to score. It's Poison Ivy's card. There's 3 friendly suspects within 4 of the active friendly model, and at least one of those is within 4 of an enemy. She is indeed in that nice big bubble there of 3. Bane's there, Psycho Pirate's probably out of range. Actually, no, he's within 4 of that one. And Stealth Up is there, so a dozen different ways. This has scored for 3 and takes us to the scoring for the rest of the cards in play for Battle Round 3. So at the end of the penultimate round, the Malicious Soldier has not woken up. He rolled 11. So his game is over, more or less. And there is no additional Phase 4 cards being played by either side. Invasion stays in play until the first activation of the final battle round on that suspect marker, then it will score. At the start of the next round, Oracle will be making use of scheming just to move in a couple more suspect markers really close to her, and you can ignore minimum distance when you do that, so that'll be done at the start of the next round. The Eyewear Breast alone on Strix stays in play. She didn't put down a suspect marker, no chance to score. The Valuable Commodities is still in play on Poison Ivy, and the Pretty Birds is still the face-up card as well. So with that, into the final round. Dawn of the final day, the final battle round, and Soldiers of Fortune have retained first activation for the third time this match. Everyone who's conscious and not 100% plant on the table has Audacity. No offense, Poison Ivy, I don't think you're 100% plant. There's some humanity in there somewhere. There's two Phase 1 cards being played, both of them by Birds of Prey, starting with their Die Hard, which is being played on Lady Shiva. Then, they're also playing Netmaster, which is Oracle's unique card. I'm not sure if we've seen this on the channel before or not. You play in Phase 1, it doesn't score till the end of the round. Target a friendly model, you have at least 6 suspects within 8 inches of target friendly model. Oracle is being selected. Now, it is possible for her to get removed this turn if Bane, or, well, of the 3 conscious people in Soldiers of Fortune, if 2 of them take out friendly suspect markers, then she will get removed from the table for a round, and it won't score. But it'll mean they can't do anything else, which might also be bad for them. Who knows? Depends what cards they have, I guess. Also, because Soldiers of Fortune are getting first activation, as soon as someone is selected, Invasion immediately scores, so we're just counting that as scored right now. So it was Bane that got the final round started, and he didn't go after a suspect marker, he went after a plant, because he's a gardener now, that's what he does, he gardens. Didn't bother putting the markers down, he did, I think it was 10 stun, it doesn't matter, he did more than enough, the plant is definitely removed. During his turn, unrelated to that, well, semi-related because he moved over there, he put into play the first free-for-all of the game. Doesn't score till the end of the round, but they have to have more friendly models than enemy models who aren't knocked out within 4 of the centre of the table, which is approximately right there. We'll measure properly at the end of the round. Strix rushed forwards with her grapple gun into base to base with Stealth Op. She could only effort twice, he efforted 3 times, which he had just enough room for. And all said and done, she did 6 blood to him. He had 1 blood on him, 5 endurance. He is gone. And in doing so, she has scored the on the table Pretty Birds, which is the below version of the scoring, and because she had stealth, he could not see her, ironically. So there wasn't much for Psycho Pirate to do now that Stealth Up is gone. They can't take out Oracle by revealing suspect markers, so instead he just hid next to Uncle Bane here and did his aura of -1 attack and defense rolls to keep them both safe. He's also standing on one of the objective suspect markers, not that that matters really. So now it's just over to the Birds of Prey's surviving members here to do whatever they can to score last minute cards. I don't think it'll make much of a difference, but let's see what Oracle, Poison Ivy or Lady Shiva can do. So we can cover those activations, and they actually are able to do quite a bit. We'll start with Oracle. She activated, used hacking to move a couple of suspect markers closer to Bane, put down a new one right next to her there, and then during her turn as a result scored Sisters in Arms. At least 3 friendly suspects are within 4 of the same enemy model, which is true for Bane. So, I'm not sure if that was in focus, there we go. So that scored. Then, Lady Shiva walked behind and put down another suspect marker, and because Bane couldn't see her, it was to top of her actually no, it's nothing to do with being seen. Sorry, but a friendly model places a suspect marker within 4 of an enemy model, and there's at least 4 in play, which is true now. So she scored an in position. And then, presumably this is okay, I'm not 100% sure on this ruling, but Poison Ivy activates, unactivates, but during her turn, because it is a different phase, different character, she can score another Sisters in Arms, because actually maybe, the rule is you can't score the same card named the same thing at the same time. Is a different activation in the same battle round a different time, or does it all count as the same time because it's the same battle round? Presumably not, so I think she can score another one, because it is a different character's turn, even though the criteria is still true. I don't think it's going to make a difference to the outcome either way, so we're not going to deliberate over it and just say that it scores. And on that note, we're going to go to the scoring, so let's cover the cards in play. Free for All, I don't think scores. No, actually it does. Within the middle, let's measure this live. We've got the, apologies for the noise, got the tape measure right here. Let's see, 18 in, and then 18 up. It is indeed to the right of, to the right of there. Yes. Actually, no, I think it is a draw, because it's within 4, isn't it? No, Lady Shiva's just out. So it's 2 versus 1, so it does score for 2 points. That's the only card that Soldiers of Fortune had in play. The Birds of Prey have a plethora. The Outward Best alone that was connected to Strix, nope, it's gone. Die Hard does score. Lady Shiva was fine. The Viable Commodities scores. Poison Ivy held on to them. And Netmaster is scoring because look at all those suspect markers. And Oracle is still there. So they made a big push at the end there. I don't think it's made a difference, sadly, but let's go see. Alright, it's time for the scoring. I'm pretty sure the Soldiers of Fortune have this with ease, but they did score a lot of one-pointers, whereas the Birds of Prey scored higher. So let's see. We'll start with the Birds of Prey. So that is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 24, 26. 26 is a respectable score. They got unlucky with low scoring cards early on, or bad hands for scoring early on. They need to take more advantage of the suspect markers they had on the table prior to them spawning plants that just got destroyed by Gardener Bane. Anyway, 26 plays 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 20. They actually won! I actually don't believe that. It did matter. 21 plays 26. Wow, I thought they won easily, but that last round of scoring is what carried them, because they scored like 8 points or something there. Okay, I didn't expect that, but the new Birds of Prey actually did manage to pull out a win at the last second. Lucky card draw there as opposed to bad luck at the start, so it balanced out overall. Other than that, Psycho Pirate should have been activating earlier in turns to make use of his bubble effects. He's a hard one to fit in, because although he's pretty cheap at 50 rep, he doesn't really do anything else, and he takes up that free agent slot, which can be bad. Being Unleashed is amazing. He wasn't nowhere near even in danger. I think he has 10 health left, and that's still when he was getting peppered by shots. That 2 extra damage he's allowed to take per turn with invulnerability, thanks to just always being on Venom, it really helps, as does anyone attacking him having to count his defense as their strength, which is pretty nasty. Good effort on both sides. Actually genuinely surprised with how it's going, because at the end of Battle Round 1 and maybe 2, or towards the end of 2, Birds of Prey had scored a single card. In fact, I think at the end of Battle Round 2 they'd scored 2. They had a few in play, but they'd only scored 2. Late bloomers, as they say. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I sincerely hope you enjoyed. Look forward to the new Suicide Squad content on the channel once those models are released, amongst other things. And see you next time. Ta-ta for now.